According to the latest news from Lu Yue and the others, the vast Flow Palace cultivators don't appear to have made a move for now. Up to this point, they're still wandering around in search of the High Zenith Palace's true whereabouts. As for the Dawnfall sect, we haven't been able to gather any information on them for the moment, Shui Ying informed. Whenever a powerful treasure emerges, there will surely be a sign. There's not much time left until the heavenly cauldron is set to open, so it won't be long until some signs begin to appear. Everyone is currently desperately searching for the High Zenith Palace so that they can get there first before these signs emerge and conceal these signs to prevent others from finding the palace, Xiao Jinhan said. Lu Yue and the others are already searching as quickly as they can, so I'm sure they'll be able to find it soon, Shui Ying said. What about Ouyang Quishan and the others? Xiao Jinhan asked as he raised an eyebrow. They're searching through the area that we passed through earlier, and the High Zenith Palace most likely isn't there, Shui Ying replied. If they remain obedient and don't step out of line for the rest of this trip, then we can loosen my control over them a little and give them a bit more freedom. Xiao Jinhan instructed. There was an element of finesse when it came to subjugating others, and constantly doing so with an iron fist wasn't the way to go. As the master of the Northern Glacial Immortal Palace, Xiao Jinhan was naturally well aware of this. Yes, Palace Master, Shui Ying hurriedly replied. All of a sudden, a slightly peculiar look appeared on Xiao Jinhan's face, and he said, "You can go now. I want to stay here on my own for a while." Xing naturally didn't dare to go against his wishes, and she hurriedly took her leave. She had only just departed from the cliff when a figure that was enshrouded in a cloud of black mist suddenly rose up from the foot of the cliff, then arrived directly in front of Xiao Jinhan. After extending a respectful bow, the misty figure began to converse with Xiao Jinhan through voice transmission. At the end of the conversation, the misty figure concluded, "All of the arrangements on our end are already complete, so you can rest assured, Palace Master." Xiao Jinhan's expression remained unchanged as he nodded in response, then gave a dismissive wave of his hand, gesturing for the misty figure to leave. The misty figure immediately obliged, flying back down into the valley before vanishing as a cloud of black smoke. Xiao Jinhan took a glance at the spot where the misty figure had just vanished, and he pursed his lips with a rather distracted look in his eyes. Right at this moment, Shui Ying suddenly returned once again, and there was a hint of excitement in his eyes. Xiao Jinhan immediately spotted the excitement in her eyes, and he asked, "Has the High Zenith Palace been found?" Ouyang Quishan says that it's where they are, Shui Ying replied with a nod. "Let's go," Xiao Jinhan instructed, and the two of them immediately flew away into the distance. Close to half a month later, Han Li was speeding through the sky atop his azure flying boat, while down below was a bleak and desolate red plain that was completely devoid of life. The only thing that changed in this monotonous environment were the red clouds in the sky, some of which were large while others were small. Despite the wind blowing over the plain, the clouds remained completely still and unmoved, presenting a rather peculiar sight to behold. Han Li was seated atop his flying boat, holding a jade slip that was pressed against his forehead. The jade slip was a map, one that he had drawn based on his memory of Lu Yuqing's map. And it definitely wasn't a perfect replica, but it was the best that he could do. He was referencing the map while observing the surrounding terrain, trying to ascertain their current location. But even though he had already been searching for the past few days, he was still unable to pinpoint the location of this red plain on the map. His brows furrowed slightly as he removed the jade slip from his forehead. So what if we can't find where we are? It's more exciting if we don't know anything. Jintong yawned as she laid on the deck of the flying boat in a lazy manner. Han Li paid no heed to her as a contemplative look appeared on his face. Even though he had reached the mid-golden immortal stage, he didn't know what perils there were lurking in the immortal manor, so he didn't dare to get complacent. After some contemplation, he stowed the jade slip away, then flipped a hand over to produce a crimson communication array plate, the very same one that had been given to him by Taoist Hu Yan. Han Li cast a series of incantation seals into the array plate, and the spirit patterns on its surface flashed with crimson light before converging to form a miniature crimson array. Han Li communicated a message into the array plate, and it continued to flash and revolve, but there was no response. Han Li's brows furrowed slightly as he stowed the array plate away. The lack of response could simply be due to the fact that Taoist Huyan was in a special environment where the communication array plate couldn't be used, or it could hint at something far more foreboding. Han Li pondered this matter in silence for a moment, then cast aside this train of thought. Seeing as he was unable to get into contact with Taoist Huyan, then he would just have to act on his own for now. With his current level of power, he should be able to ensure self-preservation under the vast majority of circumstances. There was still quite some time left until the Immortal Manor was scheduled to close, and this was the first time that this region had been discovered, so there had to be many rewards still left to be reaped. With that in mind, Han Li made a hand seal to accelerate his azure flying boat, yet right at this moment, a resounding boom suddenly rang out in the distance, and the entire area within a radius of thousands of kilometers shuddered slightly. Han Li immediately turned to the direction that the sound had come from, and there in the distance, countless dazzling balls of white light had emerged, flying over the landscape amid a burst of rumbling resembling that of countless thundering horse hooves. The world's origin chi trembled and churned as streaks of spiritual light surged through the air, raising gusts of ferocious wind that swept over heaven and earth. A burst of tremendous pressure was coming from that direction, and even Han Li couldn't but feel a little stunned as he swept a sleeve through the air to stop his azure flying boat cold in its tracks. Right at this moment, the light in the distant sky began to ripple once again, but on this occasion, instead of spreading outward, it was converging toward a certain spot, and in the blink of an eye, all of it had vanished without a trace. The churning world's origin chi also quickly subsided, and it was as if the phenomenon had never even taken place at all. At this point, Jin Tong had already sprung to her feet, and she was looking into the distance with wide eyes. That was such a massive phenomenon. Could it be that some powerful treasure has emerged? Let's go take a look, Han Li. Jin Tong urged. Han Li was rather hesitant as he mused. It doesn't seem like the emergence of a treasure. The light just now contained a great deal of spatial power, so it seems more like the emergence of a secret area. Who cares? If we don't go there now, someone will get there before us, Jin Tong said in an urgent voice. After some more hesitation, Han Li nodded in response. Let's go take a look, but be careful and also don't call me by my name in front of others. Fine. Let's go, uncle, Jin Tong replied with an excited expression. Han Li was left feeling rather speechless upon hearing this, and he shook his head with a resigned expression before guiding his azure flying boat in that direction. Meanwhile, a ball of white light was flying over a crimson hill. Standing atop the ball of white light were a group of northern glacial Immortal palace cultivators, among which were Xiao Jinhan and Shui Ying. All of a sudden, Xiao Jinhan's expression changed slightly, and the ball of white light drew to an abrupt halt as he turned to a certain direction. What is it, Palace Master? Shui Ying asked. I sensed a disturbance in that direction just now, Xiao Jinhan replied. A disturbance? Shui Ying faltered slightly upon hearing this. She hadn't detected anything at all. A layer of white light surfaced over her eyes as she cast her gaze toward that direction, while Xiao Jinhan shook his head as he said, the disturbance took place too far away from here, so you wouldn't be able to detect it at your cultivation base. On top of that, it's already faded by now. Could it be that the High Zenith Palace has finally emerged? Shui Ying speculated as her eyes lit up. Everyone else immediately turned to Xiao Jinhan upon hearing this, while Xiao Jinhan himself was standing still on the spot with a hesitant look on his face. Even though he had sensed the disturbance in the distance, it was too far away for him to detect it clearly. Right at this moment, a burst of white light appeared on Xiao Jinhan's body, and he raised an eyebrow as he pointed a finger forward, upon which the burst of white light flew out into the open, revealing itself to be a communication array plate. The array plate released a miniature array, which in turn conjured up a projection of Ouyang Quishan. We've found the entrance of the High Zenith Palace, Palace Master, Ouyang Kuishan declared with an ecstatic expression. Xiao Jinhan's expression remained unchanged as he asked, "Oh, where is it, and how did you discover it?" "Just now, a phenomenon took place at the entrance, and I just so happened to be nearby. This is the location." Ouyang Kuishan swept a sleeve through the air as he spoke, releasing a burst of light that transformed into a map, upon which an azure speck of light was pulsing incessantly. Xiao Jinhan took a glance at the map to find that the location of the purported entrance matched the direction where the disturbance had just arisen. "All right, make sure to keep the entrance guarded. I'm coming right now," Xiao Jinhan instructed. "The phenomenon has already subsided, but it caused a massive commotion just now, so please get here as quickly as possible. Otherwise, if other people get here first, we may not be able to keep them at bay," Ouyang Kuishan urged. Xiao Jinhan's expression darkened a little as he replied, "I'll get there as soon as I can." With that, he concluded the communication, and the projection of Ouyang Kuishan instantly vanished, while Xiao Jinhan remained on the spot with his brows slightly furrowed, seemingly contemplating something.